We might scale it up by 2 or 3 times in Illustrator. So since our artboard size is 16 by 16, oh, this is points, so always remember to go to inches. So it looks like we'll need to transform it by a third. So I'll just do 33%. Even smaller actually. So half. But let me do 75. Because we still want some room in the drawing. So now that we have it in here, always remember to save it. Then we start adding our background. So for your background, I mean, you can... Here's a picture of Louis Barragan's house. But it's false color, just on how the film was scanned. So we'll be using these two colors for this. So blue, and then yellow. Do you guys feel like you have ownership of a specific color already? Yellow? We'll be using yellow as well. So now that we're here, this is our base. So our hatches are sections, so section we can either make yellow. So yellow reads I mean very strongly, and we'll bring it to the front. These lines will also use yellow, but a darker yellow. Probably 0.75 for this scale. It's still a bit too bold. Okay. So now we have to start affecting the background. So what we'll do is we'll go back into the background. And we will start picking certain elements that we want to highlight. So say we want to describe the stairs. I need to make my model a little bit lighter. Oh, this takes too long. So we take the geometry of the stair. We connect what's missing. And I just selected by layer. Just make sure that not... There's a lot of missing stuff. We're a bit messy, but it's okay. So now you have this. So now you have your stair in here. And I have to remember how we scaled it. That's an issue. So we had to pass. What did we do? We did 33% and then 0.33 times 0.75. So we'll add a stair layer. Make sure that paste remembers layers is checked under the under this drop down. That ensures that when you paste, it keeps your layers. So and then this will give it a white background. So. Okay. Then we'll give this a transparency like 50%. So I did scale it correctly, which is good. We get that correct. So we have this. Of course, we should probably remove some of these guys to tidy it up. But now you can see how the task is now about, just like it always was, it's about layering. And section goes always on top. So it will be section, stair, how the stair is being cut through this model. So that's what the drawing's about now. Works. So, okay, now what we need to do is we need to start bringing in the textures. And instead of having you guys just drop in the base rendering, we'll need to work through it a little bit. Because the reason for this tutorial, even though it's very similar to the last one, is because I figured out that I showed you guys a few steps, and then you guys produced exactly what was in the tutorial. And it had no kind of Illustrator component, so that's why we're going through this. What am I looking for? Yeah, I'm looking for the renderings. So you can see that basically our task now is to cut out this kind of texture. So we need to mask this texture out so that we can bring it into the drawing, and this texture as well. So that's what our task is. So we can hide that. So, looking here, we can start taking this guy apart. So I'm splitting it. Oh, it doesn't split. So at least like this. So the rest we should be able to. Get. What I'm trying to do is just to get this intersection here. I don't know why it's not exactly working. Okay. Okay. Also, is anybody still using Mac for this class? What was that? Jaquita. For exercise 4, it'll be entirely V-Ray based, and V-Ray doesn't have a Mac version. So everybody who has a Mac, you have to basically put Windows on it. And it's better to do it sooner rather than later. And I'm completely not kidding. I mean, you just won't be able to produce the work for exercise 4 if you don't have a Windows on your Mac. And don't go out there and buy a new computer because that's crazy. Just get a copy of Windows and put it on your Mac. So finally, okay. So finally we have this region right there. I don't really know what we're looking at. Is that it? Because this cuts off there. It must be this whole area. I use project to C plane often to make sure everything's flat. So I'm just painting the stair now in Rhino. So you can see that we're painting around that area. Okay, but then it stops. So this stops here. So this cuts there, and then all of this. From here on down is and also you wouldn't be able to do this if your unit tolerance wasn't high enough. So this is just curve boolean, and I'm creating the region to bring our texture in. Okay, I think that's good enough. What do you guys think? Oh, but there's a little bit here. That'd be nice to maintain that, because this is also a stair. That's a problem, because that's open anyway. Dang it. So the hatch isn't working. But while we fix that, let's extend this, make sure that this is closed so that we can hatch this as well. Okay. Okay. So this is our hatch. We'll move it like 100 feet up so that we can start trying to figure out why it's self-intersecting. So we'll ungroup it and we'll try to hatch each area individually. So that one doesn't work. That one doesn't work. That one works. That one works. That one works. So these two don't work. So first we're going to make 2D them. See if this helps. Because make 2D rebuilds the curves. It works. If it didn't work, then there's a couple of other things you could do. But no, it complained. Okay, I guess I'm getting tired here. So now that we have these hatches, we'll save the file and then we'll export them into Illustrator. So now that we have this guy, so we'll call it texture 1, and then we bring it in here. So we take our base render with textures, we bring it into Photoshop. Does anybody have any questions so far? Or is this like absurdly long and well, to your point, you can do both. What we'll be doing is we'll actually be cutting out these. Like what? But you could totally do both in Illustrator if you want a collage. You can. I'm just kidding. I'm really fine with collages, honestly. It's not like I'm not opposed. Like this is, I mean, to a degree, this is collaging as well. Okay, so I trimmed it. That's what I did in Photoshop. Please let me know if I forget to say something. Again. So let's get the height of this guy. So this is how we size it. This is a good skill to know. So it's sized correctly now, just based on trimming it and sizing it with the previous object. So it's in there. Okay. But the thing is, so this, we will call this, we'll make a layer called blue texture. So we'll put the linked file on there. We'll take all of these paths, we'll put these paths on there. We'll select the paths, we'll deselect the linked file, we'll go to Object, Compound Path, Make. So what this does is it joins all of the paths into one path, basically. It makes a hatch out of different things. You guys know this? Okay, some do, some don't. You select the compound path, you click blue texture. There you have the texture starting to come in. I guess we screwed up a bit with the crop, but basically if you're more careful you won't have that problem. So now we can see we're really starting to composite this drawing. We have a texture, we have a fill in the back, and it's really about layering now. Do you guys see that? Okay. So now we just have to do the same thing with the red. I know it might seem crazy to have you guys sit through this, but last tutorial I said just make great drawings and didn't give you guys a full workflow, and then you guys just put renders in the back. Yeah, I thought it wasn't good enough. You guys can ask me questions, by the way, if you want. So now we do the same thing here. So we start coloring in the this one will be a tough one. Okay, now we'll start coloring in this. This is so hard. Yeah, I mean there's missing intersections all over the place. So I'll just draw some of them. So this goes like that. This doesn't even exist. This goes like this and then like this. We should probably lock the hidden lines or hide them. Okay. So I mean something like this. It's not an exact science. It's not a science at all. So it's just drawing. Like that's all it is. So I'll put those on the red layer. This is really a bummer that we don't have these lines. But I'm just gonna guess it to save time. Oops. So this is the fillet command. You can close things. So let's see if we can get a little bit further this time. So we have that one. We have this. Oh, that's an awesome one. That'll look great. This unfortunately is all covered by the section, so we're not going to do that. We have this guy. Okay. I think that's it for the red. It's not a lot, unfortunately. Okay. So now it's the same thing. It's about rebuilding these hatches. It'll be fun to see basically how off we are when we added those lines too. It actually worked this time. That's phenomenal. Quite successful. Anyway, we'll export this now. So you can see kind of the process back and forth from Rhino to Illustrator. Okay. Yes. Oh, in Adobe Illustrator. For me, I hold the Alt button and the space. So spacebar drags and zoom is Alt and scroll on your mouse. Yes, space is drag. If you don't have a mouse, I mean you're out of luck. I'm sorry. Please get a mouse. That was actually the subject of one of the group chats between all the folks who are teaching. They're like, "How come some people don't have mice?" Pretty crazy. So I'll just make all of these the same color. Object compound path make. Oof, that wasn't a good idea. So I'll need to be cleaner actually. Or actually, maybe it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. Or maybe it doesn't. Disappears. Yeah, there's duplicates, so that's why it's failing. So just make sure that when you export cleanly without duplicates. Okay. So this is good. Let's see if it'll compound path it. Yes, it did. So I have one compound path for the next mask. So since we already have the linked layer in here, we'll take this layer, we'll duplicate it. Call it red texture. Also, fun fact, this red texture came from a shirt that I have. So. Well, that leaves some to be desired. So you can actually edit these things. In Illustrator, I mean, you can use this guy to remove these handles. You can delete the anchor points. I highly recommend you guys to really learn how to use the pen tool. Comes in handy. So you can actually edit this path. Okay. Okay, I guess I edited the wrong path. Spent all that time. Make sure that you have the correct thing clicked. You're gonna lock everything else. No, that's the... Oh, it's probably a duplicate. Yeah, that's what it was. It was a duplicate path, so it wasn't clipping correctly. So now, since it's a linked file, you can see that it's kind of not very white. We can actually go back and brighten it significantly. Then it should ask us to update it, and then it looks a little bit brighter and a little bit more fun. Okay. So now what we'll do is we will take this guy and we'll actually render it in order to get shadows, and then we'll hatch the shadows. In the meantime, in Illustrator, we'll bring in the black and white render. So we'll go here and base render. Well, we just want the base render. Oh, I forgot to trim it. That's important. My hard disk is getting pretty full as well, but hopefully it's fine. Okay. So now we'll trim it. So now when we bring it into Illustrator, it should fall right in the same place as the textured file. So that's weird. It still doesn't quite, but yeah, I wonder why that is. Oh, I see. Well, no, I don't see. So this one we'll have to scale it manually. But still, since we trimmed it, it should be fairly easy. Well, we can start getting pretty interesting readings like this. Bring the line work above. Well, all the line work's below right now. So is it getting kind of interesting now? It's like, what crashes first, your guys' attention span or my hard drive? It's a legitimate question. I think my hard drive. I think I'm fairly lucky with you guys. So. Okay. So we'll do a shadow pass. So the colors like look pretty kitschy actually. Let me do it darker. Yes. RGB. Because by default it opens RGB, yeah. Well, actually when Rhino, when you export, that's what you specify. I prefer to work on RGB because I have my own plotter, and whenever I would print from CMYK, it was terrible. So I mean, the proper way is to set up your own print file for your machine, but I haven't done it the proper way. For me, the printer does a better job with RGB conversion, but like CMYK. You know, like it's fundamentally different color system. It's subtractive CMYK. RGB is additive, so in RGB when you add all the colors together, in RGB you get white when you add all the colors together, and CMYK you get black. So RGB is just brighter. You can get tones in RGB that you simply can't with CMYK. Okay, wait. I forgot to do something since I was talking. Okay, another trick we can do actually is, let's fade this guy back. Okay, so this guy, what we'll do with this one is shadows. Looks terrible, but it's okay. I should have probably desaturated it first. That's pretty interesting. I think it should work as long as we place it under. Do you guys like it? It's like a fish. Yeah. Why does it have copyright shadow pass next to it? It's so weird. I don't know what's happening. Fishes, copyright symbols. So beautiful. Just great. I'm just kidding. I mean, since we're using it for a hatch, it should be fine. I think this is going to be an 1.5 hour long tutorial. I don't know if YouTube even like allows like videos that long. Do you think so? That means for Friday it'll be a 10-hour long tutorial. Yeah. So since Axel was sick, yeah, he wants to do grasshopper tutorials for the whole studio. Yeah, I mean, Grasshopper is a powerful tool. Absolutely recommend that you guys use it. Like the stairs for this file, they were made on Grasshopper. I just couldn't do it otherwise. I couldn't like sit there and draw the stair. You know? So image trace, black and white. Create fills, ignore white, preview. So we can sort of start to see that kind of thing. In order to get rid of that, that's what a lot of you guys have. So we play with this. Until, I mean, it's fairly smooth, somewhat at least. So then once you have your shadows, you click expand. So this will be shadow pass. And then we'll go to swatches. Well, you guys know it from here. So this is a split axon using all of the same techniques that I think it gives you access to the individual individual paths, like individual hatches. We're not done. I'll torture you guys for a little bit longer. So what we'll do is in my defense, I wouldn't have had to do this 10-hour tutorial if you guys produced good drawings for the split axon. No, I'm kidding. I'm actually amazed by how quickly you guys have learned how to make stuff. So now we have this outline. So we export that. Actually, you know what? Never mind. What I'll do is, instead of that, I'll make 2D the opposites, and kind of have them read as more ghosted. I think these are the two that we deleted, right? Let me check. No. Unfortunately, it's all exploded now. This is painful. I don't have a full model anywhere. Actually, yeah, it's what we'll do is we'll actually run curve boolean on the whole outline. We'll connect these lines. To get the full outline of even the ghosted geometry. Yeah, again, hatching problems. Let's do make 2D. Yeah. No idea. I'll test scaling it. Scale's fine. Rebuild. I'll just be crazy, rebuild it with a lot of points. So now you can see their individual points. Let's see if we can hatch it now. Self-intersecting loop. Cell open curve. So this is an open curve. Close curve. So now we know where the openings are at least. So hold on, let's go back and unrebuild it. So close curve. Now we know where the problem areas are. So we'll just do trim these problem areas. This is like DIY curve repair. Okay. So let me just delete these guys. I just deleted them by color. You can select by color. It's also a good command, cell color. So now I'll fillet all of this together. I forgot where else it was open. Okay. Look at that. It works. The power of logic. Or just trying things until they work. That's pretty interesting, actually. I kind of like the blue against the false blue. You could play around with it more, though. You could do darker. Let's see if darker works for us. I forgot where. No, darker doesn't do a lot. I'm clicking on the wrong thing. Also, when you're working, just make sure to lock everything except for the thing you're working on. I don't know, for me Illustrator is a bit hard to manage in that way. This is like your colors. But these colors, I don't think they'll work for me. But you could do something like that.